that looks like this. Three-angle seats provide the best combination of sealing efficiency, gas flow, and heat transfer for optimum durability in almost all applications. You'll notice that the seating surface of the valve is cut at a different angle than the seating surface of the seat. Normally, the difference is 1 degree, which is called an interference angle. This is done to give a positive seal at initial startup. It also accommodates expansion when the valve and head heat up to operating temperatures. The exact angles vary with different manufacturers, so it is important to check the specifications for the head you're working on and select the correct New Way cutters. In this example, the bottom angle is 60 degrees, the seating surface is 46 degrees, and the top angle is 31 degrees. The valve face would be cut at 45 degrees to provide a 1 degree interference angle. By the way, cutting valves and seats with tungsten carbide produces better results than grinding. Cut seats are flatter, and the texture left on both surfaces promotes more efficient seating. Cutters are more cost-efficient and last longer than grinding equipment. They are simple to operate and quickly cut a concentric seat. New Way cutters promote a safe, clean working environment by eliminating flying abrasives, disintegrating stones, and messy coolants. Now let's begin the actual process of reconditioning the seats. First, you must select the proper pilot. New Way manufactures over 200 sizes of solid tapered pilots and expandable pilots. You'll notice that we prefer using solid tapered pilots. There's a good reason for this. Solid tapered pilots locate on the least worn section of a guide. Naturally, you're going to get more accuracy with a solid pilot. Slide the pilot into the guide until it's snug. Then give it a quarter turn while pressing down. This locks the pilot in position. The pilot shoulder should be between 1/8 and 5/8 of an inch above the guide. Here's another tip. Don't apply side pressure to the pilot while you're reconditioning the seat. As you can see, it's not too hard to flex a pilot. If you do, your seat won't be concentric with the guide, and your customer won't be happy with the result. Now you're ready to start cutting the seat. A properly cut seat is the correct width, properly located on the valve face, and concentric with the guide to within 2/1000ths total indicator reading, or TIR. Before you start cutting, you may have to adjust the carbide cutting blades on your New Way cutter to span the width of the seat being cut. Loosen the lock screws that hold the wedges in place so you can slide the carbide in or out. This changes the diameter of the cut. That's all, just the diameter. The angles are all precision built into the cutter, so you don't have to worry about them. It doesn't matter if all the carbide blades stick out the same distance, as long as they all span the angle being cut without touching the combustion chamber. Again, that's because the angles don't change as you move the carbide. When you adjust the blades, be sure to have full wedge contact. Less contact could result in damage to your cutter body. While we're looking at the cutter, you should note a couple of other things. First, keep it clean. Brush chips and dust off after each use. Your carbide blades will last longer and your seats will have a better finish. Never operate a cutter with missing, broken, or chipped blades. Check your cutter to be certain that it has not been dropped or misused. Most rebuilders and machine shops feel it's a good practice to keep a spare set of New Way blades on hand for each of your frequently used cutters. That way, you'll never be tempted to use worn carbide simply because you don't have a replacement handy. However, if the need arises, New Way can provide blades using next-day delivery service. Now, let's see how easy it is to cut a valve seat. First, slide the cutter down the pilot until it touches the seat. You'll make the 60-degree bottom narrowing cut first. Rotate the cutter clockwise by hand to make certain it doesn't hit any part of the head or combustion chamber. If it rotates freely, you're ready to put the T-wrench in place and start cutting. Use two hands and apply pressure gradually as you turn the cutter. Ease the pressure on and ease it off. Try not to stop turning the cutter at the same place each time. Do not lift the cutter between turns. Follow the same procedure when top narrowing and cutting the seat angle. Of course, if you're going to be doing a lot of cylinder head reconditioning, you'll probably want to use a new way power unit rather than turning the cutter by hand. Overall, power units increase both the accuracy and the productivity of seat cutting operations. That's why they're used by production rebuilders and machine shops throughout the country. There are two types of power units: the fixed speed model 1700 and the top-of-the-line variable speed model 1800, which gives you the versatility to handle anything from lawnmower engines to locomotive diesels. Both systems allow quick movement from seat to seat. No matter which one you choose, the operation is pretty much the same, except, of course, that you have the flexibility to select the exact cutting speed to match your job with a Model 1800 variable speed unit. Using the power unit is just like using the T-wrench, but the power unit does the work for you. You put the cutter in place and check for clearance, just like you did manually. Notice where we've set the speed control. On a flame-hardened or stellite seat, we would set the speed control at a lower RPM. Now, grab the two handles in the power unit transmission. That's the shiny chrome part. Step on the foot switch, pull the transmission socket down over the hex on the cutter, and you're in business. Start with a bottom narrowing cut, here a 60-degree angle, and keep cutting until the area is clean and smooth all the way around. Next, do the top narrowing cut, in this case using a 31-degree cutter. Depending on how badly worn the old seat was, you may notice that both narrowing cuts remove more material from one side of the seat than the other. This is normal. What's happening is that the seat is actually being moved so it becomes concentric with the guide. You can do that by accident too, which is why you have to be careful about placing side pressure on the pilot. The trick is to feed the cutter straight down the pilot and let it do the work. Remember, ease the cutting pressure on and ease it off. You'll get the best results if you let the cutter dwell for a couple of revolutions before you release the foot switch and stop the motor. We can't show it to you here, but you'll be able to feel the cutter bite when it begins to cut. It won't take long for you to develop the technique of cutting precision seats with new way cutters. When the top and bottom narrowing cuts are finished, it's time to cut the seat. Same procedure as before, but with a 46-degree seat cutter. Notice how smooth and clean the cut surface is. There's no grinding dust to contaminate the job and cause problems later on. That's another advantage of cutting seats rather than grinding them. When you're done, visually check the seat for uniform width and then measure it just to be sure it's within the manufacturer's specifications. If it's okay, take out the pilot, clean it, and put it away.